Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the listening public. Those, of course, here on the island of Nevis, those who are in St. Kitts, those who are listening throughout the Caribbean. Good evening to our friends and family in the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, wherever you are. Good evening. It is a beautiful, beautiful evening here on the island of Nevis, and we send you love. We send you greetings. We hope that you have already purchased your tickets to come home for Christmas, and we're looking forward to seeing you. Of course, St. Kitts has Sugar Mass, and Nevis has a quiet Christmas, but we ask you to come home and enjoy all that your country has to offer. Good evening to our friends and family in places like Bermuda. I'm told that many there are now listening to this show on a Wednesday night. I say good evening to you. Thank you again for your tremendous hospitality in the last time that I was there. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot has been happening, and so let me get into it. Let me start the show by expressing my deep condolences to the family of Volney Johnson of Brownhill. Volney, as we all knew him, was somebody that was well known in the community in Brownhill. He lived overseas and unfortunately has passed on. The last place we knew he was living was in New York, and he has regrettably passed away. I want to extend my condolences to the entire family, all the people of Brownhill. Volney will be missed. As I said, he was somebody who was incredibly well known, and we extend our condolences to his family. Let me, in that same vein, express condolences to the family of someone that I knew as Anthony Ward. They call him Paluco or Tony. I did not know him as Paluco. I must say I knew him only as Tony. And it's interesting because on an occasion recently when I was in the Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, I was told by my brother and friend Shark, Cecil Farrell, that Tony was in the hospital. And I made my way there to see him. I was told that he had had a stroke. And so I made my way there to see him. And lo and behold, the minute I walked in and he saw me, he said, "Squad." Many people would not know, but in my early days in Hanley's Road, that was my nickname. So anytime there's anyone who calls me Squad, I immediately know that they're from Hanley's Road. And so he said, "Squad," and then he said to me, he couldn't speak clearly, but he said to me, and I heard it when he said it, that he listens to this show every Wednesday. And so I want to extend my deep condolences on the loss of a good man. I have known Tony all my life. I've never heard him involved in any difficulty or drama. He was a peaceful man, jovial fellow, loved by all. He was always big-boned and jovial. And so I want to express my deep condolences to his family, all the good folks of the Ward family there in Hanley's Road. I don't know if Paloma is listening, but if she is, I want to extend condolences to everyone. We grew up there very close, because we, of course, were in Scarborough. Then you had the Lance family right there on the main road, and just across the road you had Miss Ward and her children, including Anthony. So I want to express my condolences to his family, and to know that he will be missed. He would have passed away in the Virgin Islands. Again, very, very sadly, in fact very tragically, I want to express my condolences to the family of young Kareem Pinney. Kareem Pinney is the son of Adrian France, also known by many as Chronic, right there from the Newcastle area, the Shaw's Road area. And we got this very sad news that young Pinney, who's only 17 years old, or who was only 17 years old, was shot and killed in the United States Virgin Islands. And so I would want to take this opportunity to extend condolences to his father, Chronic, the entire Pinney family, those here at home, of course, and those abroad, and to express our deep condolences. I'm told that the young man, whom I did not know, but that he was a promising sportsman, a promising athlete, and we don't know why these criminals would have attacked him, but we are hopeful that they will be brought to justice, and I'm hopeful that the prayers of all of us will comfort the family in this hour of bereavement. To lose a child of 17 must be tragic, and I extend my deep condolences to the entire family. In that vein, ladies and gentlemen, let me also join with so many in extending condolences to the family of the late Hastings Daniel. Hastings was a well-known figure here and about Nevis and St. Kitts, and he regrettably would have passed just a short week and a half, 2 weeks or so after he would have buried his wife Morva Daniel. And so we would have lost both Mr. and Mrs. Daniel in very short order. I want to publicly extend my condolences to his son Ron Daniel and his grandchildren, Ron's sons. I want to extend condolences to the family of Morva Daniel, but also the family of Hastings, now that he too has passed, those at home and those abroad, including the former Deputy Premier, the Honorable Hensley Daniel. Hastings was his older brother. And so I would want to just join everyone in extending condolences. Death, of course, is always a tragic situation. It is something that awaits all of us. It has neither friend nor foe. It is agnostic. It cares not about you. It cares not about me. It comes for us. And it is said that it is one of those things that all of us will have to experience. Those who have gone to a different place. We don't know what they've gone to because we have not yet gone there. But there will be a time when we too shall go. And so it behooves us to live a good life, to do the best that we can, to live at peace with all men, and to try our very best whilst we're here on earth and we still have that gift of life, to use it for the very best purposes, and to ensure that we care for each other, we take care of each other, we tell the people that we love them, we show them that we love them, and we do the best that we can as individuals here on this earth for a short while. And so I urge all of us to look at the lives that all of these who dearly departed would have led, and to take example. Nobody is perfect. We would not have agreed perhaps with everything that those people would have done or said, but let us take the good from their lives and replicate it in ours. And let us not remember them with any anger or any ill will, but rather let us remember those who have passed for the good that they would have done. And so I extend condolences to all of those families that mourn, all of those families that are now going through that dark valley. I extend condolences. I ask them to lean on God, because ultimately God is all and only who we have. Many tout their money, many tout their possessions, many tout their positions. But when tragedy strikes and death comes, as it will for all of us, only God can comfort us. He is the great comforter. And so I urge all of you out there to offer up your prayers, to ask for God's mercy, that He may comfort all of those who are mourning at this difficult time. We have had, in just this short report from me, 4 deaths of well-known Nevisians and people of Nevisian descent who are also well-known in terms of their families and the whole family network. And I would want to really express my deep condolences. Hastings was somebody, Hastings Daniel, who was a regular on radio, regular commentator on cricket. I guess he wanted at some point to be a politician because he had more politics in him than most politicians. But he did what anybody in a democracy would do. He shared his views. And whether you agreed with his views or you didn't agree with his views, they were his views and he was entitled to share them. And so he would have lived, I believe, a full life. He would have been very much in the public eye in terms of his commentaries and his statements. And I believe that the cut and thrust and what he brought to the political debate and the political culture of the island, what he brought even here to Vaughan Radio and the various talk shows, that he will be missed. And so I extend condolences to his family, condolences to the family of young Kareem Pinney, condolences to the family of my friend and brother Anthony Ward, also known as Paluca or Tunny, and of course to my friend Volney Sutton, the family of Volney. I'm sorry, not Sutton. I know him just as Volney. There's a Volney Sutton, but that's not the Volney I'm thinking about. This is Volney Johnson, forgive me. I extend my condolences to his family as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I would want to move from that very sad note to indicate congratulations to the Honorable Spencer Brand and his team, because we have quietly, sometimes I think there's not nearly enough being said about it, but we have quietly gone about our business of honoring people who have done well in Nevis, honoring people who have achieved some level of longevity. And as part of that ongoing effort to honor our elders, to support them, and to remember that we, of course, stand on their shoulders. This administration has developed a policy of having stamps dedicated to our centenarians. And so I would want to congratulate the Honorable Spencer Brand and his team, and to say to the public that we have recently honored 3 centenarians: Miss Olga Jeffers Francis, Miss Leonora Wenham Herbert, and Miss Irene Stapleton. They have each been honored with a commemorative stamp, and they would of course have had that stamp delivered to them, and we are pleased that we have these 3 beautiful ladies, all of whom are now over 100 years. So again, congratulations to Miss Olga Jeffers Francis, Miss Leonora Wenham Herbert, and Miss Irene Stapleton. Irene, of course, is from Brownhill, but she resides in the Virgin Islands, and she would have just celebrated her 100th birthday. So we want to celebrate them, but also I think want to congratulate the Honorable Spencer Brand and his team for continuing to carry out this policy of this government that we should honor our centenarians with commemorative stamps, specially issued stamps. Imagine that you can see them when you purchase stamps to post letters or whatever it is you require stamps for, that we are seeking to always remember the contribution that these people would have made. To have achieved 100 years is nothing short of miraculous, and so we celebrate them, we celebrate with them, we thank them for their contribution, and we thank the ministry for its continued efforts to recognize and commemorate those who would have achieved that significant milestone of 100 years. So kudos to them all, and kudos again to Minister Brand and his team. Ladies and gentlemen, we had something that happened here quite recently from our eye care specialists. We have had an eye care team led by Dr. Hubie that has been coming here now for many years. I want to publicly extend congratulations, publicly extend thank you to Dr. Hubie. Congratulations, because he has been with us for so long. He's persisted with us through thick and thin, and he and his team have continued to provide excellent eye care to the people of Nevis, and now I am told also to the people of St. Kitts, who are in growing numbers coming to Nevis to seek out our eye care specialists here on the island. I want to congratulate him for that. I want to thank him for his service over these years, he and his entire team. He's normally accompanied by his wife, and they come down and they've done a remarkable job in helping those of us here with that critical issue of their sight and ensuring that that most important of senses is maintained. Recently at the Alexandra Hospital, we had our very first cornea transplant. It was not only the first at the Alexandra Hospital, it was the first time it has ever been done in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to emphasize that, because you know, there is so much negativity in our communities, particularly and principally, I ought to say, in our body politic. It is so bad now that it would be bright sunlight midday outside, and there will be some pundit or other who takes to social media or to the radio to say that it is pitch black midnight and that rain is falling. It is thunder and lightning, even when the evidence of the contrary is obvious to everybody. We have resorted to lies and to slander and to just a constant stream of negativity. I call them the constant nattering neighbors of extreme negativity, because that's all that they do every single day. Whenever there is, however, good news about this island, remember, we all say we love Nevis. We all say we love Nevis. We like to sing Nevis nice. God bless our country, bless our native land. Nevis nice. But when it comes down to it, do we show that we love Nevis? I am not going to fault anyone for criticizing where criticisms are due. But by the same token, when good things happen in our island, Where are those same voices to speak up and to say, well done, Nevis? Not well done, Mark Brantley, because I didn't perform the surgery. I want to commend the Honorable Janelle Nisbet and her team, but they didn't perform the surgery either. Well done to these doctors who have come and have made history in this island, performing the very first cornea transplant that has ever been done in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, right here at our Alexandra Hospital. You know, sometimes when I hear some people talk about Alexandra Hospital, which is our only hospital on the island of Nevis, I would swear that nothing good could come out of Alexandra, because the way they cried down and bawled it down and said the most horrible things about that facility. And here we are making history. History. Not just for Nevis, but for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, in having the first cornea transplant done right there at Alexandra Hospital, right there at our theater, our operating theater. And so I just want to commend the team, commend our local hospital administrator, matron, our the director there of medical services at our hospital. I want to commend our team, our nurses, our doctors, the entire team, because we spend so much time and focus on the negatives. Somebody goes to the hospital, people go to the hospital every day. We see hundreds, if not thousands, of patients on an annual basis. You don't hear them ever say that the experience was a good one. I got excellent care. But let something go wrong. Let there be a bad situation or some slip up or some mishap, and oh my goodness, they take to social media and the bashing starts. And I often remind our people that the nurses and doctors who are at our hospital, they're people too. And in many instances, they are our own people. And so when we start to bash and we start to cuss and say, oh, it's so terrible, well, who are you bashing? You do it because you think it's good politics and you're getting at me, because everything seems to be geared at me. But I don't work at the hospital. So when you start to bash and you went up to the hospital and you had to wait half an hour, that's the kind of thing that our people continue to say. I go up there and I have to wait half an hour. But they will go to America and they will wait 3 hours or longer for care. But they come here and they wait for half an hour, and then when you tell them that they have to pay 50 EC dollars, they cry shame and cuss and carry on because they've had to pay a nominal amount. Some are even going and choosing to go out an hour when they think that there are no cashiers there, because they go late at night to try and access the system for free. And I just appeal to our people, as I can only do, to say to our people that we really need to do better. You can be in opposition to this government. Every government in a democracy has opposition. But you need not be dishonest. And you need not continue to curse and abuse institutions that if God forbid you were to get sick tomorrow, it's right there at Alexandria you're going to reach. So when you don't cuss all the doctors and the nurses and say how the facility, I heard one of them say sometime it's where you go to die. That's where people go to die. That's what he said on radio. Well, if you ever were to get sick, what's going to happen? I'm sure you're going to find yourself up in Alexandria begging for the same nurses and doctors to take care of you, asking for us to use the same CT scan, the same mammogram, the same ultrasound, the same new equipment and machinery that we've procured. We'll send for you at your home in the same new ambulance we purchased too. But there's never a good word to be said about any of that. They always are seeking out something negative. So there's a broken window or there's a shutter that has come off, and those are the photos that will be shown. Those are the things that will be said. But here we are making history in healthcare in the Federation, and you don't hear a murmur. Well, I'm here to thank Dr. Huey, congratulate him and his team, and to congratulate Minister Janelle Nisbet and her team, because they are doing an excellent job in delivering health care to the people of Nevis. Our health care has moved in leaps and bounds in terms of what's available, what's possible, what it is we are offering within the confines of our limited budget and our limited capacity in terms of our finances. I want to commend. We know in our districts, ladies and gentlemen, have access to OBGYN care, obstetrics and gynecology. If you are a pregnant woman in the island of Nevis now, you can go to the clinic in your district and get specialized care. Where else do you find those types of services being offered to people? And let me emphasize, for free. Where else? It is, to my mind, disingenuous to continue to bash and lament and curse and talk about the Alexandra Hospital and to cry down the healthcare system when the evidence is to the contrary. Now, I recognize that there are many who are making a lot of noise about the fact that the extension that we have started to the Alexandra Hospital has not yet been finished. And I appreciate that. And I too have said publicly that I am disappointed that the project has been taking this long. But I always emphasize to our people that if you're living in a house now which is not leaking, which has all the amenities that you need, your bed, your stove, your kitchen, your living room, your refrigerator, your television, and everything else, and you decide that you want to build a second home, if that second home is somehow delayed, it does not affect the comfort that you have in your existing home. Some may not like to hear it, but that's a fact. And what I have emphasized is that the provision of a new building, as much as we are committed to getting that new building done, has not stopped us from ensuring that at our existing hospital facility we continue to provide first-class care. In this case of the cornea transplant, record-creating, record-breaking, history-making care. That's what we have done. And we continue to offer specialist services. The island of Nevis now has more specialist doctors than at any time in our history. And I challenge anyone to say that that is not true. We have now not one, but two, but three, not one, not two, but three surgeons available to us at the Alexandra Hospital. We have internists, cardiologists. We have access to obstetrics and gynecology. We have access to orthopedics, orthopedic surgeon. We have access to pediatrician. I'm pretty sure I'm not remembering all of the specialties. Anesthesiology. All of these people are available to us at the Alexandra Hospital. And all I'm asking is that we be a bit more kind to those people who continue to give of their best, sometimes in difficult circumstances. Because when you feel that the attack is somehow to bring me down or bring down the government, what you're really doing is attacking the hard-working nurses, the hard-working doctors, the auxiliary staff, the support staff, and the people at our main hospital. And I remind you again that if God forbid you got sick tonight, it's right there at Alexandra you're going to head. Right there at Alexandra. When you call 911, it's one of those ambulances that we've bought that we'll send for you. And you'll go there and you will hopefully get the quality of care that we continue to invest in and that our professionals at Alexandra deliver. If you want to talk and debate about the length of time that it has taken to finish an additional wing to the hospital, then that's a different debate. Criticize, bash as much as you want on that. But let us not decry and denigrate the quality of care that is being offered at Alexandra. I will defend them because I know if tomorrow, tonight, or at any point that I were to become sick and I need to go there, I know that I can look forward to the best quality care that is offered by professionals at the Alexandra Hospital. And so I make that point and I now move on. Congratulations again. We've created history at Alexandra with the first cornea transplant in the history of St. Kitts and Nevis. Let me now move on to a few other matters. Ladies and gentlemen, today we had the cruise ship in Azamara. In fact, let me just tell you what the statistics were like so that we have it readily to hand. I have some information here that was sent to me. Let me see if I still have it on my phone and I will give it to you. That today we had 647 guests on the Azamara, 389 crew. So by my rudimentary math, that's about just over 1,000 people. They came on the Azamara journey and they were in town today. I drove through town this morning because I wanted to see for myself what it looked like, and I was pleased. I was pleased because I saw all the taxis lined up, all of them in mint condition. I saw people already coming off in terms of the tenders. I saw people walking along the Hunkins Drive, festooned as it is with flags from the nations around the world. And later on I was sent some videos of these people by the busload descending on our Bath stream. And my heart felt glad. My heart felt glad because when I see the number of people that were at the Bath stream today, and I realize that we now have adequate parking, we now have adequate facilities, signage, bathrooms, changing rooms, areas where they could buy a snack, areas where they can sit, gardens in which they can relax, gazebos. And I felt pleased because this was an investment that we would have made. An investment there that we only just recently opened, but an investment that says to our people and says to those visiting that Nevis is stepping up its game, especially at our important sites around the island. Now, we would have spent a considerable sum of money there. In fact, the sum as revealed at the opening by the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Hanley, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, was in the region of 800,000 EC dollars. For those of you in the US and elsewhere, that's roughly about 300,000 US dollars. That's what would have been spent on the upgrades at the Bath Stream. And we have said, and I have said so publicly and others have said so, that to upkeep historical sites all around the world, there's usually a fee of some kind. And so we said it quite openly, that we would want to look at what fees that we could charge for the Bath Stream to assist us in the upkeep. And just let me explain that the 800,000 that was spent on all the upgrades that are there, bathrooms, changing rooms, restaurant, or should I say more of a snack shop, gazebos, seating areas, landscaping. We replaced the roof on what is now the Ken Evelyn pool. We created walkways, we created lighting, we created better security, we created a welcome center and reception area, we created parking. All of this was done at that site. And might I add, which I usually like to do, it was done by our own people. We use all local contractors there. But in addition to that expenditure, we now are going to incur additional expenditure. Why? Because we now have a site manager. In fact, I want to publicly congratulate him. Mr. Simmons, if you're listening, congratulations to you. I know that you have a long history in hospitality and I expect that you're going to do well Irvin Simmons. He's the new manager there. We have a new team there. People who are there for landscaping, people who are there to keep the pools clean, people who are there to keep the restrooms and the areas clean. We have an excellent team that we've put in place there, but they have to be paid. And these are all new expenditure that we have to incur there at the Bath Stream. And so we have said, listen, we have to find a way to offset some of that. Some people have proposed different mechanisms. Some have said, listen, just charge everybody in Nevis a fee. Put it on their water bill, put it on their electricity bill, whatever everybody pays, $10 a month or whatever, and that money goes to upkeep our sites. We have not ruled that out, but we have not moved in that direction. Others have said, listen, charge a user fee so that everybody who comes to the stream will pay a fee. And we thought that that, as a first step, was a much better approach, because that way people who don't use the stream may well, they will lose the ability to argue that we're paying for something we don't use. So we said, let's do a user fee. The next question, of course, that arose is, how do you treat with locals? And I want the Nivision public to know that the cabinet that I lead is a very thoughtful cabinet. We don't rush to judgment. We don't rush to make decisions. We take time. Sometimes we take a lot of time because we like to hear what the different views are. Every single member of the cabinet of the Nevis Island administration has a voice, and we do not always agree, but we always try to build consensus, bearing in mind that collective responsibility, that whatever decision is ultimately arrived at is our decision. But we have quite robust discussions. We are thoughtful about what we do. And so when the proposal came from the Ministry of Tourism to levy certain fees for the user of the Bath Stream and Bath facilities, the issue that immediately arose was, how do we treat with local people? Now, there are many out there who don't go to the Bath Stream at all. Some, like me, go very infrequently. But there are others who go every single day, especially the people of Bath Village itself. A lot of them go to the baths every single day. Some people go at mornings. In fact, sometimes they go back in the evenings. And there is a group of people who are always there at the bath. And so we recognize that if you were to levy a charge, there would be a question as to how you treat with those people. Even a nominal charge. Let us say that your charge was $5 EC. I'm just drawing a reference. If you're going twice a day, every day, then you're paying $10. That $10 a day, 7 days a week, now becomes $70. 4 weeks in the month, that becomes 4 sevens is $280. People will find it expensive. It starts to add up. You then had the other consideration, which was that the people of Bath especially see the Bath Stream as part and parcel of their heritage. Others in Nevis feel the same way, but the people of Bath especially, you hear what it's called? Bath Stream. And you hear what the village is called? Bath Village. And so I understood, as the constituency rep and somebody who spends a lot of time in Bath Village, that the people of Bath would feel aggrieved if they had to pay for this facility, bearing in mind the history, bearing in mind the fact that in a large way they have been caretakers of the Bath Stream for a long time. And so we deliberated, because at the same time we understand that there has to be some generation of revenue at this facility to help us to upkeep it, to close the gap between what we are spending to upkeep it and, of course, some revenue coming in. And so we deliberated, and the cabinet has decided that there will be no charge. There will be no charge for locals who use the Bath Stream, and so people will be allowed to continue to use the stream for free, but there will be a US $5 charge for tourists or guests who come to use the stream. And we are hopeful that that compromise position will allow, for example, the tours, the tour operators, etc., to use the stream, and the burden, so to speak, will fall on them, those who are visiting. And we felt it was a reasonable compromise. Certainly as a starting point, we will see how it goes. And I am not sure yet when that fee structure will be implemented, but I'm pretty sure something will be in the media soon. But the idea really is to charge something, and we felt that those who are visiting might be better positioned to pay something because it is just for them an attraction. I was recently in Switzerland, and my wife and I went to visit an historic site there, a castle. And I believe, if my memory serves, we've each paid just over 30 euros. 30 euros, when you multiply that, I think if you do it by 4, that's about 120 EC dollars each to go into that facility. Now, the facility was very well kept, very well maintained, but in those countries, they recognize that you have to pay a fee. I'm told at Brimstone Hill in St. Kitts, you have to pay something. At historic sites in St. Lucia and elsewhere, you have to pay something. And so I am hopeful that our introduction of a $5 fee for visitors, for non-nationals, to use that facility, that will not attract any negative attention. I am also to say that we have decided that we will erect on site some donation boxes. And why we're going to do that is because we are saying to locals, Nevisians and Kittitians, that when you come and you are afforded the privilege of using the stream for free, remember you'll be using the changing rooms and all of the facilities that have now been provided, that we are hopeful that those who can afford would give a donation and put something in the donation box. And so we are working out the logistics of all that, but the idea is therefore that any payment from locals will be voluntary, but any payment from our visitors, our tourists, will be at the rate of $5 per person. That is what we have put in place. We are hopeful that that will find favor, and that we will, through that mechanism, be able to earn a little something to defray some of the extraordinary costs now associated with maintaining that site in the best possible condition. Before I move on, though, I want to say a few other things. I, as people know, am an avid user of social media. And I was quite appalled to see people who one ought to regard as sensible people taken to social media and saying, as a matter of fact, that the government has introduced charges for locals to use the bath stream. And these things trouble me, because I said, well, how is it that without any announcement from the government, without any publication of any decision, people can go out there and misrepresent the position in order to create some mischief? It goes back to the point I was making earlier, that it could be bright sunshine, midday sun outside, and there's somebody who say it is midnight and the thunder is rolling. Because we seem to have this propensity for negativity, and when there is nothing negative to report, we just make it up. I just want to admonish our people that when you want accurate information, listen to Von Radio, go on the government websites, the NIA website, go on NTV, listen to On the Mark, listen to my press conference. You will get accurate information. Listen to the statements that the ministers make, because one thing about my government that I'm proud of, this government that I'm privileged to lead, is that we don't believe in misleading the public. When we come, if there's blows to be taken, we will take them. But we will tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And so you can depend on us for accurate information. And for those mischief makers who continue to just create stories. I saw this one lady claims to be a professional, so I would expect that she would behave professionally. But gone on social media to say this is the position. And I'm saying to myself, well, where did this woman get this thing from? Where she get this story from? Because nothing goes so. And if I were to spend my time each day just going through and saying that is not true, that is not true, that is not true, I would spend all day, because people just continue to make it up as they go. I would say one last thing about the bath stream. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not yet visited the new bath stream, please go and take a look. Under the leadership of Prominent Secretary John Hanley, and with the artistic vision of Sylvester Meade, and the scores of people who work there, I believe we've created a masterpiece here on the island of Nevis. Go and take a look. We have put now management, security. We have put in place landscapers, people to clean the pools, clean the bathrooms. We have a whole staff there now. But I regret to say tonight that some of our people continue to engage in behavior that can only be described as unacceptable. Unacceptable. I've had some reports which are sickening, because people insist on going to the stream and in the environs of the stream and engage in the most unsanitary of practices there. I am really encouraging our people, and in fact I'm encouraging the people of Bath, because the stream, you have been the caretakers for all these centuries, that we help police it, help protect it. And when we see people who are engaging in unsanitary behavior, we condemn it. It is not nice. The staff are saying to me that they go to this beautiful facility and they reach there and they realize that overnight whoever would have gone there and used the facility, leaving trash, leaving garbage, and worse than that, leaving items and waste that has no place in the public. And they've asked me to mention it as we continue to appeal to our people to act responsibly. Act responsibly. That's all we're asking. We're not banning anybody from using the stream. We're not telling people you cannot go in the water. It is your water. It is our stream. We have maintained it for now as free for us all. But for God's sake, use it, and when you use it, be considerate that other people will also use it. It is not fair to our staff that they go in the morning and have to deal with that level of nastiness, because that's what it is. It really is unpleasant. It is something that is reprehensible, and all who engage in those types of activities ought to feel ashamed of themselves. Let us be the best that we can be here in Nevis. Let us not allow that tiny fraction of our people, that tiny number who continue to exhibit terrible behavior, let them not define us. And we, the people of goodwill, must say to them that there's no place for that type of behavior. If you need to use a bathroom, use it at home. That's where you need to use the bathroom, not at the bath stream. If you have delicate matters, physical and otherwise, handle those at home, not at the bath stream. And I'm speaking this way because it is an appalling situation, and we must all do better. And I'm not going to stay quiet, you know. I am saying to them that we must do what we can We are sending out initially asking for people to cooperate and do better, because we know they know better. So if you know better, do better. But if it comes to it and we need to name and shame, we need to catch people and put them in the hands of the court for the type of activity that some want to engage in, then we'll have to do it. And I will not apologize for that, because I think our people need to step up. You see your government stepping up, providing better facilities. Well, you need to step up too in terms of your behavior. These things only work if we are all on the same page. And I want to encourage our people to do the right thing. Please, do the right thing. I want to move now quickly to report that I was recently in the United States just for 2 days. I was invited to be one of the featured speakers at a conference that was convened in the state of Florida dealing with financial services and asset protection, trusts and other structures. And I believe that my speech was very well received by those in attendance, who were a group of high net worth individuals and professionals who work in the banking and financial services field. And I spoke to them on the future of international financial centers in an increasingly hostile global environment. My speech allowed me to look at the hypocrisy of certain global institutions who have disproportionately attacked international financial centers such as Nevis, while giving the big countries a free ride. I was able to chronicle the fact that all of the world's greatest financial scandals have occurred in the money capitals of the world. London, New York, Zurich, those are the places. And some of the institutions, Wachovia, HSBC, and others, none of them are headquartered in the Caribbean. I was able to make the case to those assembled that there is no difference between onshore and offshore. We are merely different players in a global financial system, an ecosystem where we support international trade and international commerce through entities registered all across the Caribbean, and that therefore, rather than being vilified, we ought to be included as part and parcel of the global financial system. I ventured into US politics to congratulate them on the election of President Trump. The fact that they would have had a peaceful election and a peaceful transition of power is expected in January. And we had a discussion about what a Trump presidency over the next 4 years may look like for financial services centers across the world. We had a robust discussion surrounding aspects of the Citizenship by Investment program. In fact, I was very pleased to let that august body know that St. Kitts and Nevis invented the idea of citizenship by investment. And whilst there have been many imitators, there's only one original, and that's St. Kitts and Nevis. In fact, they know very well the Citizenship by Investment program in St. Lucia. Quite a few people in the room had, because of a connection from St. Lucia, obtained citizenship there. But many of them now had their eyes open to the options and the possibilities available in St. Kitts and Nevis. I left that conference with the certain knowledge that there will be business coming to Nevis from my engagement and interaction there. In fact, some have already indicated that they will be setting up structures here and seeking to do greater business here. I also had the opportunity to discuss with them the intricacies of Nevis trust law, our international trust regime, and the fact that we offered robust protection of persons' assets. I also was able to share with them our position from a regulatory point of view of not moving as our competitors have moved to open registers for beneficial ownership of entities, but rather we have said that our position is one of a firm commitment to the international fight against the illicit flow of money. But we also felt that there was value in protecting the privacy of persons' legitimate financial transactions. And that too was very well received. Our position, of course, here in Nevis was vindicated when the European Court of Justice would have ruled in November, I believe it was, of 2022, that open registers within the EU were a violation of persons' right to privacy that was guaranteed under the EU Charter. And so I felt that the engagement was worthwhile. Always, of course, when I travel officially, I report to the people in terms of my travels, and I do so now to you tonight to say that that trip was a short trip, very short. I only went there for that specific purpose, but I believe that it will yield some dividends for the business community here and for international financial services in particular. It is now 10 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock, and so I will end my lengthy soliloquy there and open the lines for your calls at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you would like to be a part of the show. And of course, I invite colleagues out there to call in and to be a part of the show. If they are the ministries, they have something to report, then this show has a significant audience, tend to attract people over the years who have stayed with us, and I thank them for that. And so it's a good platform, of course, for colleagues to update, but also a good platform for members of the public to ask questions and for us to determine the best way forward as we discuss the issues that impact the lives of the people of Nevis and the wider Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Ladies and gentlemen, this is On the Mark. For those who have just tuned in, my name is Mark Brantley, and we're taking your calls now at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you would like to be a part of the show. And of course, if you call early, you get more time because you get an opportunity to develop whatever your argument is going to be. Some leave it until the last 2 minutes of the show when they don't have enough time. So let's go and take our first call and say good evening. You're on the mark. Hello?
Good evening, squad. How could you forget Stanley, Edric Stanley? You call everybody name excepting him.
Because I dealt with Mr. Stanley at length last
Lamentation 3 verse 21.
You're talking again, now listen, you just talk and start to talk again. I didn't forget Mr. Stanley. I would have spent some time speaking about Mr. Stanley last week.
I know last week, but this is another week. Everybody can believe. So lick it over.
All right. Okay, I hear you. Go ahead.
Lamentation 3 verse 21, 22, and 23. This I recall to my mind. Therefore have I hope. It is of the Lord's mercy that we are not consumed, because his compassion fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. Have a good evening. May God continue to bless all of us. Good night.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your scripture as always. I certainly appreciate it and appreciate your call. You are perhaps our most regular caller, and so for that we're truly grateful. We continue to take your calls. Good evening. You're on the mark. Okay, we missed that caller. Caller, please call back in. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. When you call, please be patient with us. We will definitely try to get as many calls in as possible. Those are the numbers to call. I was saying before the first caller, well, let me go back to the phone. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Good night, Honorable Mac.
Good evening to you, sir.
I can't believe what you saying about the bat, because I have some friends who came up from Tatola, enjoy the bat.
Yes.
Yeah, man, they man tell me to enjoy the bat, but I didn't get a chance to go over there and enjoy it. But they said enjoy the bat. So how people up there could treat the place like that? I mean, out of pride, are they playing politics with the bat? And it shouldn't be playing politics with the bat, because the bat belongs to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame what you saying. And if someone get locked up, you hear them make a set of noise. But it shouldn't be doing that kind of thing, honorable. Shame on them who doing it, man.
Well, Cole, I agree with you, you know. I totally agree with you. And I just feel that it's unfortunate, right, that you have these types of occurrences, because, you know, it's like sometimes you build a very nice place, beautiful, you know, you have a beautiful garden, and people come to visit, and they make a point to break off your flowers, you know, to throw trash in your garden. Something. It's just, I think that some people seem to be just possessed. I don't know what else to say. Because when you go to that bath stream, your first instinct is how remarkable it is and how beautiful it is. And I'm not just saying that because I can talk. I'm saying that because it's a fact. The place has been beautifully done. And so you would anticipate that people going there using it, who now have all the facilities available that we've invested in, would desist from that kind of behavior. And so I'm asking you to help me to appeal to them.
Honorable, I passed in that area a lot
Mm-hmm.
while I was up there. I did not get a chance to go there. But I had some friends who said they enjoyed the bath.
Mm-hmm.
And let me say this again. Let me say this while I'm here on the radio with you. When you have festival, Culturama, who the Culturama for? The NRP or the CCM?
You have it for the people in Nevis?
All right. I have some people that behave like the festival belong to CCM. Some people think stupid honorable. Whatever the festival belongs to everybody, whether CCM or NRP or whatever. It belongs to all the people who in the country. And some people operate that way. Oh, them ain't going on there. It's like, them ain't going on them. I said, people really jokey bad. The jokey bad. The festival, the culture belongs to everyone who live in the country. But the NRP or city belongs to every neighborhood. Everybody come up there. And some of them behave so. It don't bother me when I hear some of them behave so. Honorable. Bad, honorable.
Mm-hmm.
They're making it sound like that's a CCM Culturama. The Culturama is not a CCM Culturama. It's everybody, visitors who live there, whatever. Who come in belongs to everybody. Man, honorable, I'm listening to the show. Somebody there and call it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Cole. I think a very powerful call. You express sentiments that, and you're right. There's certain things, the Bath Stream, Pinnis Beach, Culturama, they belong to all of us. All that my government has been trying to do is to improve the experience. So if we fix up Pinnis Beach, if we fix up the Bath Stream, we fixed up other places, New River. We have the Nevis Heritage Village. We have over here at Fort Charles. We shortly will be paying some attention to what is it called now? Fort Ashby. We are currently going to be cleaning, making the access way to some of our beaches better, and putting up signage so that people know as they're driving around where the beaches are, etc. We're doing a number of things, but when we do these things, caller, it's for everybody. We are not all going to agree on everything. We live in a democracy. We understand that. But when we engage and we spend government money and we do things, they are being done for the benefit of all of us. And like you point out, Culturama is our thing. We celebrated 50 years this year. So why on earth would some say because of politics they now go and they now this and they now that? Well, what if everybody operated like that? You realize what would happen? That only half the people would go to a show because the other half say because of politics they now go. And when that half they're out of office, they party out of office, it switch around. I mean, that could make sense. In an island this size, we really need to do a lot better in terms of arguing where there's an argument to be made. But stop with the lies and stop with the efforts at destroying. You know, I saw something. My colleagues may be a little peeved with me because we had said that we really wouldn't have paid it any mind. But I saw something that happened over the 50th anniversary of Culturama. Caller, every person that I engage with, every returning national, people who many had not been here for 5-10 years, there were family reunions happening here. I was invited to functions, I know, by at least 4, and there were more than 4. And when I said family reunions, you had large family reunions happening, involving in some cases well over 200 people. People from St. Kitts, Nevis, Anguilla, UK, wherever. People were here in their numbers for Culturama 50 and our homecoming celebration. And whoever I spoke to, they only had good things to say about Nevis. They loved what we had done down at Pinnies. They loved the MGR Park. In fact, the food fair this year for Culturama was the biggest food fair that I have ever seen. I didn't believe that we could have so many people at a function. People were out in their numbers. We had a Culturama that was crime-free. And especially for those who are coming in. Now, you know and I know that the way we grew up in Nevis is when your friends and family coming from overseas, what you do? You clean the house, you make sure you wash all the drapes and the curtains and things. In fact, Christmas time, and I'm sure that our little house wasn't alone. Christmas time, when you got up some old piece of cotton curtain, all year, Christmas time, you see your mother going to the trunk that was under the bed and take out some nice curtain. Them only go up Christmas, you know. Soon as Christmas over, them gone down again and back in the trunk. Tablecloth. All of you know you still got some little linoleum. Young people don't know what linoleum is. It's a kind of plastic thing that was put on a table. And you have the linoleum on the table. Soon as Christmas coming, what they do? They find a proper tablecloth out of the same trunk. And that is how we are accustomed, because you want to put your best foot forward. Your family is coming in. Your friends are coming in. Visitors are coming in. You want to put your best foot forward. And the mood in the island was so joyous. People felt so good about being in Nevis. You know what they ain't happy did? They put up some billboards around the island. Politics. Talking about things here so bad. Inflation killing people. They need the hospital. All kind of thing them put on these billboards. In the midst of the joy of people, no politics was involved in Culturama. None. They put up these billboards around the island. And so many people called me because where they put them, they put one right there next to the park at Pinnies, where people were going to enjoy themselves. One lady called me and said she's there with family, and they asked her, what is that nonsense and why is that there? That is the thinking. Now, rather than holding hands and say, man, let me put these things aside for Culturama, let everybody enjoy themselves. They gone up and down the island putting up these foolish billboards and put them in bloom. You don't know what that's supposed to mean. And that is the level of, frankly, stupidity that we continue to see on the island. And I don't know why, because a successful culture armor speaks good of all of Nevis, including them. Let's go to the phones. We lost that caller. Caller, please call back in. So, what is the need for that, ladies and gentlemen? What is the need? And it really ended up, I think, for many people being more of a joke than anything, because people are saying, man, I drink in my room, I enjoying myself, I in the band, I down at the restaurant having a nice meal with my family. We don't have no time for no stupid politics. I come to enjoy all that Nevis has to offer. I have come home and I can see what is happening on the island for myself. I don't need nobody to tell me, because I'm here. Let's go to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Brantley. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Good evening to you.
Okay. I'm calling on behalf of the local creatives in Nevis.
The local who?
The local creatives in Nevis. So I'm just calling, as you are aware, we would have performed for Culture Armor 50. And since then, we would have been reaching out to the office and so on to find out about payment. The last I heard is that they don't know when we're going to get paid. So I'm just asking, is there a reason why we are not being paid, and do you have any idea when are we going to get paid?
Caller, I don't know. Nothing has been said to me about payments. Those are normally dealt with through the Ministry of Culture and through the Culture Armor Secretariat. I can tell you and do know that each year for Culture Armor, with the bills coming, and when they come in, we try to take care of them as they come. Sometimes it really depends on the cash flow that we have available to us. Sometimes sponsors are late submitting their sponsorship checks, that even though they advertise that they've given $100,000, we don't receive that sometimes until months after. So it has really been the norm, certainly since I've been in government, that bills continue to come in and bills are paid in order as they come in and as funds become available. Sometimes people get paid right away depending on the flow of funds. Sometimes people have to wait for a few weeks. Sometimes people even wait for a few months. So that has been, as far as I know, the tradition during Culture Armor and the position for Culture Armor over the years. I don't know that this year is any different. Culture Armor finished on the 8th, I think it was, or 10th of August or something like that. And we are now in the month of November, so it means that we have gone September, October, 3 months since the end of Culture Armor. As far as I know, payments should have been made, and payments will continue to be made. But I can't tell you tonight, because I have not had any word from the minister or from the Culture Armor Secretariat as to what their process is and where they are in that process. So if you said you have been calling, my suggestion to you is you continue to call and agitate for your money, so that as funds become available, you will be paid your money. One thing I will say to you and to every other person who is owed money for Culture Armor, you will be paid. That I can assure you. When you will be paid, as I said, I will certainly have to check with the minister and his team to find out what the current state of play is, because this, I have not heard this before in terms of somebody reaching out to me to say that they owed money for Culture Armor. Most of the vendors for Culture Armor, I believe, understand how the system works in terms of payment, and many have been with Culture Armor for nearly the whole 50 years. So they understand it and they know how it works.
But I mean, you see, the problem for some is that, you know, we have to deal with bank on a monthly, and in some cases we can't meet the bank because of the situation where we would have invested heavily for Culture Armor and would have dried up most of the cash that we had on hand, you know. So then that's a big problem for us.
Well, caller, is this your first Culture Armor that you participated in?
No, it's not.
This is the first time that by November you haven't been paid? I'm just curious.
In one case we went up until December.
Okay, but you have normally been paid before. That is before November in previous Culture Armors.
Most cases.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that bears out what I'm saying, that it really sometimes is based on the flow of money that's available to pay. And I do know that I think during Culturama, maybe shortly after, that it was expressed to me that sponsors coming up with their side of it, their money, that is sometimes a little slow as well, so that also holds us up. But you have raised it publicly, and I will guarantee you that I will ask the question of Minister Evelyn and his team, and we will try to do the best that we can to settle up, because I do hear you and I understand, as you have put it, that you're having difficulties meeting your obligations, having borrowed or invested for Culturama. We don't want anybody to be in that difficulty, but at the same time I just want to make it clear that over the years this is what I've seen when Culturama is concerned. I have never seen a situation where, say, within a week or two everybody who's owed is paid off. That has never happened. And I have tried to explain the reasons for that. But certainly I will have that conversation, and I hope that we can resolve this matter quickly for you and for others who are also owed.
Okay, so can you give me a time frame as to when you think I could follow up with you to find out what's the situation once you would have...
Well, I will have a conversation with the responsible minister and his ministry. They are the ones who are responsible. So I'm not sure you need to follow up with me, you need to follow up with them. Now that you've raised it with me, I will speak to them. If you choose to call me, then obviously that is also your right, but I will try to speak to them tomorrow. I would hope that by next week you can follow up. I would suggest you follow up with them, because they will know the specifics of your situation. I wouldn't. And even if you call me, once you hang up the phone, I still gonna have to call them to say, Mr. Small called me and say you owe him $20,000 and he needs money. So I will suggest that you follow up with them, but I am committing to you and to others that I will have a conversation tomorrow to determine what the position is.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, thank you.
All right. Thanks for your call. I really appreciate it, and thank you for your contribution to Culturama 50. And I hope that despite the little issue of a payment, that you will continue to participate, because I think Culturama needs all our creatives involved. Let's stick with the phones and say good evening. You are on the mark. Did you miss that, caller? Yeah, okay. Caller, could you please call back in? The numbers again are 469-1616, 469-1700. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, caller. You're on the mark.
Mark, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Mark, I call about all this bush worries up here on me. And at the back road, so much of bush is people see garbage. People making it a garbage bin now. Mark, if you see thing with it come and throw up on the back road behind by me to go out by water department at the back there, if you see if it's a garbage bin that they're making it now, Mark. The bush raising up big farm and nobody chopping it.
Caller, I hear you and I empathize with you. I'm not sure what answer I can give you, because it's a problem now that I'm seeing all around the island. It's a problem, one, that people who have their properties are not maintaining their properties and are allowing their properties to become overgrown, negatively impacting the properties of others. I have got calls. In fact, I have gone out to look at some for myself, and I believe that the only solution for us will be to pass some kind of law and to start to levy some serious fines and penalties on people. I don't like to go down that road, because I always try to appeal to people to do what is right. But if you drive around this island of Nevis, if you walk around this island of Nevis, you see countless abandoned properties. House abandoned, yard abandoned, properties full up with all kind of breakdown car, 3 and 4 and 10 in the yard, bush growing out of every crevice, rats and rodents, mosquitoes and vectors.
Mark, White talking at the right place, at the back in front of me there is water department. And people are done for set a garbage right from the back road to go home.
And that is that
they're going up.
And that
I can't see.
And that caller is improper, and people know that it is improper. I do a little walking at mornings, and I will tell you, This morning, I walked through Brown Hill, up Lamper Hill, and back home. And I actually had to stop at one point picking up plastic bottles because I say, well, going up Lamper Hill, I can't find a bin to put them in. But I picked up plastic bottles all along the road in Brown Hill. And it's clear some of them is drink bottle. People just throw the bottle out the car. As they're driving, they drink, they finish drink, they just fling it out the car. And so, if people will not do the right thing, then I am afraid to say so, but I will say so that the government will have to put things in place to force people to do the right thing.
Mark, this is household things that people got in the house and they broke down. They want, they take it out and they bring it and they dump them out.
Well, exactly. Those are things that should go to the solid waste.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? People are dumping stove, fridge, microwave, household garbage. They're dumping everything and they're putting it into our guts. And I listen, caller, I don't want to get started because I don't know when some in Nevis gets like this. I really don't know.
Mark, the bush too much from me now, Mark. Mark, I can't see too good. The bush too much, I can't see through the bush. If the bush too much need come down.
All right.
Mark, you could help me with the backhoe to get push back some of them bush around for me.
All right, I hear you, but if I send a backhoe to push back the bush, when the rain fall, the bush coming back. I can't keep sending a backhoe. Your neighbor must do what is right and make sure that their property is kept in a proper manner. And that is what the message we must send all throughout the island, because everybody is calling the government to tell the government send a backhoe. And the reason people are calling the government to send a backhoe is because other people are being irresponsible. It can't be right. And all of us need to condemn it because it cannot be right.
That's true.
So I certainly hear you, I understand, and where the government can help, we've been trying to help, but if the government's equipment is going to be made available to people, it will be out all day, every day, because of the number of abandoned properties and the number of properties. Some properties are in such a condition I can't believe people live inside of them. No care in the world. The yard and thing run away. And we continue to see it, and a lot of people, and I'm going to say so because it's true, a lot of the homes them here in the yard, them, the properties that have been abandoned, people have gone overseas. Sometimes it's family confusion. So they're arguing among themselves, siblings arguing, everybody arguing. And in the meantime, people who are here have to suffer. A lady called me up to the other day, said she could barely drive her car because of the amount of cushion thing going over in the road from people's property along the way.
Mark, the same thing me
right?
there already. So the same thing. How much time I can beg one man to come help me? One man to come and help me.
All right.
And the owner them there for the pay. Man, something got to be done.
Yes, well, I agree something has to be done, and I assure you something will be done. I will try my best to come and see you to see the situation for myself. But I think I'm sounding fair warning tonight to all those people out there who own property and have their property in a deplorable condition, creating a nuisance for their neighbors and for the communities, that if you don't do what is right, then we will have to do something in relation to it. And if it means going into the House to pass legislation to impose some significant fines on people, then we'll have to go down that road. But I am tired because people know better. You know better. I mean, how you could take up your fridge and stove, break down in your house, put it in the back of a pickup and throw it in a gut.
Exactly. If you see the back road, there is so much thing them on top. I can't get to see because the book so much. I can't see when people come and dump them thing now.
All right.
The book slip on me.
Okay. We hear you loudly. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Some of these problems, ladies and gentlemen, you know, they're so frustrating because we wouldn't have these problems if people just did the right thing. We wouldn't have the problems. A lot of people here own property. Right? Own property. And the condition in which they have those properties, it's deplorable. They have all these old cars parked up on the property. Little piece of yard, but you got 5 and 10 old cars, all of them up on blocks, park up in your property. And how could that be right? How could that be reasonable? How could that be fair to your neighbors and to the community? And when you start to talk about it in government and you start to do something about it, oh, everybody cry shame. And oh, you're wrong, you can't do it with people so. People driving, flinging out their food container, styrofoam container. Sometimes I'm walking, I meet garbage bags filled with household garbage. Fling out the side of the road and you go up Lamper Hill. And it just seems like somebody driving, they got the garbage, they just throw it out the window. Look all around Nevis, you see the garbage bins that have been provided. Solid Waste picks up garbage from your home 2 to 3 times per week. You just have to put it out. Solid Waste will pick it up. So there's really no excuse. None. Driving along the highway, fling out your bottle out the window. Look at the bypass road that we've just fixed. Sometimes the fellows go and they cut the grass and the number of plastic bottles you see there. The amount of garbage just flung out. We need to do better, Nevis. We need to do better. I would walk and pick up where I can. I notice over there as you go there by Cades Bay, there's a lady who I see there regularly picking up bottles and things. And there are many good Samaritans who go around and do that. But my point is, we shouldn't have to. Because people should know better. And they say if you know better, you should do better. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Honorable.
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead.
I really had to call back. I really had to call back in what you're saying about the sign that where they put up with a nonsense about thing bad and thing bad. Now this people should be shamed putting up those kind of things. Who do you think they're hurting? They're hurting their own Culturama. Their own country they're hurting. Honorable. And right now, you on the cleaning side right now. Right now, in my little village, right now, I see them, but I don't say. Anytime I see somebody, so garbage, I'm going to take them picture. And I'm going to carry them to the police. Because right now, someone take a whole bag of garbage and put it on a vehicle. I just be so nice I take up on it straight away because I don't want to get, cut about and messed up. So either do a little part in that area wouldn't be messed up. But honorable, anytime I notice, I ain't gonna say no. I will be taking them picture and carry down the police station and they gotta do something with it. Because it's nonsense. Sometimes we have some people, because it has some people here, some young men in a solid waste, so they go around pick up, sometimes the people may say, oh, if you don't show things, they buy one get job. Nonsense. Nonsense, you gotta tell the truth. But the sign what you say, whether on the beach, put up sign for the Culturama, round that time is nonsense, honorable. Let me hurting you. Hurting the country. Because who the hurting? People coming in here, coming in the for Culturama, don't see different. Because a lot of people see a lot of difference for the Culturama. even to me, when I was up there, there's a lot of difference. But it's nonsense. I want to say, I got friends who support NRP. I'm not listening. It's wrong doing this thing on festival trying to say, oh, this thing doing. It's wrong, fast. It's wrong, honorable. You're hurting CCM. You're hurting the country. You're hurting the country where you're from. So putting up these kind of things ain't hurt nobody. You're hurting you yourself with the people. So I had to call back to say this. So when I hear you say that, they put up thing down on the beach. And plus, honorable, down there looks so nice. Down on the beach, so it looks so good. With the park where they had the food fair. Down there looks so good. So I don't know who they're hurting. I think sometimes some of we have to take politics out of certain things. Certain things we need to take politics out of. And again.
Thank you, my brother. I really appreciate it. And you know, I am grateful because sometimes I don't know what it is people think they're going to achieve. I was in opposition in this country. I know how opposition works. But opposition must always present themselves as a credible alternative. And if in the middle of what is supposed to be a time of Nivision pride and joy like Culture Armor 50, that all you can try to do is make stupid politics, talk about money and where the money gone. What do you mean where the money gone? And people don't have pennies and enjoy themselves. People go on hot bath enjoying themselves. People coming over at the water taxi and can't believe what they're seeing. You know what I see somebody put on Facebook recently? They said the officials in Sinkage should ask Nevis for the blueprint. In terms of the water taxi and the reception and all of that in Nevis, what we have created. They should ask Nevis for the blueprint. That's what a petition put on social media. Right? People outside can recognize what is happening here. But inside you have some people who is just constant negativity. Constantly going on and on and on about things. You spend money, you create something objectively. I'm not saying, oh, you commanding. You could say something look good and still not support government, the CCM, you know. I don't know if people realize that. You can say this park at Pinnis is beautiful, a beautiful addition to Nevis, but you still don't support CCM. It seems like they feel that if you were to give Jackie jacket, if you were to say this is in fact something good, that somehow something is going to, the sky is going to fall in. It seems that is the attitude that some have. And so in the midst of the joy of Culture Ram and people feeling proud and the togetherness and camaraderie, I didn't ask a soul who was home whether they might not pay CCM, because I wasn't interested. I didn't ask them who they support because my interest in the people who are home for Culture Ram is welcome home. Go sort out your family land and thing, buy a piece of land, build something, invest, welcome home. Nevis is happy to see you. Those of you who have been here for a while, man, take your rent a car and drive around. Go through the villages. Drive through Brownhill, don't get lost. Because the road them nice over there now. Drive through Bath, don't get lost. The roads them nice. Go up Bracious, don't get lost. The roads them nice. Lord, go up Raleigh, go down Henley Park, but don't get lost. You have to talk to people and tell them, go around, this is your Nevis. And so many people are overjoyed. Man, people tell me they go to the restaurants, they can't believe. Everywhere you turn in Nevis is some activity for them. And the best thing that the opposition in Nevis thought they could do is put up some billboard. Cussing. Well, who they going to influence? Who you going to influence? Because if you put up a billboard saying about projects not finished and people enjoying finished products. How that could make sense? But like I said earlier, bright sunshine outside and you're telling people that it's midnight and rain and fall and thunder sounding. That has been the reality. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Good night, Honorable Brantley.
Good night, my friend. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Yes.
I'm going to read my scripture from Psalm 37, and I'm going to read 5 verses. And it said, Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. We end at the reading of the scripture. Have a wonderful night. God bless.
Thank you very much for your scripture, and thank you for your continued calls to the show. We really appreciate you, and we appreciate your calls. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is On the Mark. We have roughly 28 minutes left. Let me be sure. I don't want to use the clock here and I'm wrong. Yes, we have 28 minutes left. And so I am asking for your calls at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the calls, the numbers to call, to be a part of this show. Just to remind the listening audience that our budget debates in Nevis are going to take place on the 3rd. The budget presentation will be done on the 3rd of December, and we have set that week for budget debates. And then, of course, the budget debates in St. Kitts will occur the following week. And so that will be the middle of December. So we look forward very much to the plans and programs, a report on what we've been able to do, and a report on the way forward as well. So we are certainly hopeful that we will get through those debates. And then, of course, I have my usual press conference for the month of November, which will be the last press conference for the year. That comes up, I believe it is on the 21st, if memory serves. I hope I have that date correctly. But you certainly will be informed, and we look forward to you joining us for that press conference as well. Let's go back to the phones and take some more calls. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Good evening, Mr. Brantley.
Good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm not doing too badly.
Wonderful to hear you.
Yes, I'm calling on behalf of Nevis Blind Light and Visually Impaired Society. We're having our luncheon next week, Wednesday, God willing. Cost $30 from 11:30 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the School for the Blind. Well, some people call it blind school, but we accept the two names. School ain't really blind, but it's what they're accustomed to saying.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll be having most of what we usually have. There's some changes in between there. We'll have our seasoned rice and peas. We also will have, people's favorite, curried banana. We will have squash, breadfruit, macaroni pie. We'll be having breadfruit cheesy. What is happening here is that, and the usual vegetable salad. What is happening here is that some persons may not eat pies, but they will take the vegetables like the breadfruit and that sort of thing as their side dishes, and so it will be available to them. We'll have cornmeal. We will have what we call ground food. This time we don't have any banana on the plate, but we'll have breadfruit, we'll have green pepper, we'll have dasheen, squash, sweet potato. You will have your meat kind, whatever it is, whether it's fish, hot fish, mai. We'll have also chicken, we'll have mutton, and we'll have spare ribs. So persons can make their own choices. We'll have some fruit, and we'll serve that fruit as long as it goes. That's watermelon. So I hope some person may come and don't say that they don't get. So we have to go until it's finished. And then the drink, all will be local drink. We'll have the carambola. I think some people call it 5 finger. That's the sour one. We'll have golden apple. We will have passion fruit punch. And we'll have ginger beer. And we try our best to treat our customers well. And we are thankful to them because they are always there to support us. We are glad for the new persons who have come on board. We always, welcome that. And so please, next Wednesday morning from 11:30 until 2 p.m., God willing, we'll be there with lunches, and our food is always fresh.
What's the cost? Remind us of the cost.
$30. $30.
Okay. Well, as usual, we will need to order for the cabinet. So I know you don't deal with me. You deal with the other Henley Part man in cabinet. So.
Well, once I catch Eric.
Yes.
Or even my cousin Stedman, whichever one of them come first.
All right.
I will get it to you. And thanks a lot for the support, Mr. Brantley.
Of course.
I appreciate it very much.
So get them the tickets as usual, okay?
Thank you. 7.
Okay, yes, always.
Thank you.
Okay, God bless
you.
Okay, bye-bye. We're going to continue to take the calls. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello, good evening, Dr. Minister.
Hello?
Good evening.
Good evening.
How things, man?
Things aren't bad at all. How are you?
Again? Hello?
Yes, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Order from big up Brownies people, Yeah, man. Outside of that, we wanted to look at the justice system. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to check on the justice system. So based on the justice system as it stands now, do you believe that enough has been done to facilitate greater access to legal service? And does the present justice system reflect a balanced approach?
Well, that's an interesting question. Has enough been done? The courts in criminal matters have been appointing counsel where people charged with crimes can't find counsel. There's a system of legal aid that is in place, certainly in St. Kitts. I know there's a legal aid clinic. And most of the lawyers and law firms that I know also offer pro bono work where they will provide assistance to people for free who need legal assistance. So I think that is not a perfect system, but certainly people have access to legal services if they need them. In relation to whether the justice system, I think you say, is it
fair? It reflects a balanced approach to justice.
It take a balanced approach, and that's a difficult question. I'm not sure what you mean by a balanced approach to justice. The law is what it is, and the system of justice exists to try and apply and enforce the law. So in terms of balance, where are you looking for balance? Are you looking for balance in terms of
in terms of trial date certainty? That you will go to court today and you have the case tried. And I also wanted to look at, people are now saying that the system is too slow, it is too expensive, and it is too unequal. What do you have to say about that?
Well, the system can be slow at times, but I often say that the lawyers you choose is sometimes a part of the problem. I was a lawyer for many years, and I always ensured that I was prepared when I went to court. But you go to court a lot of times, and the other lawyer ain't prepared. Went party last night, oversleep, whatever it is their problem is, and they show up and they say, oh, I need an adjournment. Right? And some lawyers been adjourning matters for months on end. Every time they come, something, the dog eat their paper, they need an adjournment. So sometimes the lawyers are part of the problem. Other times the system is clogged up because matters take a long time. The judges sometimes feel that they are overwhelmed, overworked, the magistrates, etc. So it is a complex system because at the end of the day it's manned by people. And everybody has to play their role and play their role well if the system is going to function at its optimal. Right? So it's open for criticism, sure, caller, but I think at the end of the day the justice system here works fairly well. In terms of costs, and it's expensive, yes, that is true. Lawyers cost money. That's why I said earlier that you have a system now of legal aid and pro bono work that is done, court-appointed lawyers who do work. But it does cost money to go to court and to vindicate your rights. The good thing is, certainly in the civil law where you have disputes, the court will usually award costs to the winning party, so that even if you have to spend some money on your lawyer, if you prevail, you're likely to get some or all of that back from the losing party.
You had mentioned one of the things that they might sleep, they might overwork, and they might party. So you are now saying that trial date isn't certain then?
Well, the court fixes dates, but at the end of the day, the court cannot proceed with a trial unless the parties are ready. So a lot of times what happens, the court tell you, the trial date is the 5th of June. And on the 5th of June, one of the lawyers gets sick, or they come and they say they have an emergency, or whatever the case may be, and the trial date has to be vacated. So I'm saying sometimes it's not necessarily the court's fault, but because you're dealing with people, you have people who have issues. If the lawyer gets sick and the court date come, what them supposed to do? Sometimes the lawyers themselves aren't prepared.
I understand that. So would you say that we are heading in the right direction?
Well, I think we've made progress, and we continue to make progress. So yes, if I were asked, I would say yes, we're headed in the right direction. I, for example, supported the idea of some trials without a jury, because I feel that sometimes even the jury process leads to further delay and clogging up of the system. So I believe that these are innovations that we continue. I believe with technology as well, we can do better. Now, for example, we're using technology in the courtroom where the transcripts, you're down doing a recording, and the computer now, the program is supposed to just produce the transcript from the recording. The old time way was you had to have a stenographer who have to type it out and then produce the transcript. So it took months. Now it should take a matter of days. So there have been technological and other improvements. Not a perfect system, caller, but I do believe, yes, I would say we're moving in the right direction.
So you had mentioned about the jury system. One of the things where I know that you had mentioned, what would you want it to do? Would you want it to go non-capital and go judge alone, abolish jury trial and go judge alone for non-capital?
Well, I believe that there's room. There's some countries, including the civil law countries, where it's only a judge or a panel of judges, and those systems work well. I think that in a small society, the issue of a jury trial has always been problematic, while that has been the standard set under English law. And any departure from it is a departure from those principles. We also understand that it is prone to difficulty, including abuse. You have jury tampering. You have the reality that in a small community like St. Kitts and Nevis, everybody knows everybody.
Okay.
They say it's a jury of your peers, but the truth be told that sometimes you have people on the jury, your cousin, people are related, they know each other, they went to school together. There's a certain high level of connections, and that can lead sometimes to the opposite of what you try to achieve with a jury trial, which is to have a set of dispassionate people. So if I went to school with you on a long time, I don't like you.
Okay.
And I happen to be on the jury. It's not like in big countries where you have a jury and people you've never seen and don't know. You understand?
Like in Jamaica.
Right. So
I'm calling from Jamaica.
Oh, you're calling from Jamaica. Okay.
Jamaica.
So here you do have those challenges in a very small community, right? You even have had situations of jurors being intimidated. People know you, they know where you live, they know where your family live, they know where your picnic go to school. You understand all of these things. So it's difficult, and so I feel that there's nothing wrong with trying to say a judge is already judge of the law, because remember, in civil cases, the judge is both judge of law and fact. It's only in criminal matters that we have continued with the traditional jury system. The other problem you have in a small community like St. Kitts and Nevis is a lot of people don't want to be jurors. And so they find every excuse in the book.
I wanted to come and visit one day now, but it's difficult to come to St. Kitts and Nevis. I know that I have a CARICOM passport, but I look at the matter in terms of moving through the CARICOM countries, because it has been difficult for persons to move within CARICOM countries. And when you people come to Jamaica as a 15-member state, we all thought the nice things, and at least when you go back to your country, It's a total different thing from the heads of government finance in 2015 in Jamaica. All 15 member states finance. It's a total different thing when you get back home. People are having all different types of contortion just to justify why they don't want that CARICOM citizens in their country, even when the records are very clean.
Well, caller, I can't speak to other CARICOM countries, but I can tell you here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we welcome our Caribbean brothers and sisters. In fact, we have a growing community of Jamaicans right here. I mean, if you land here tomorrow, you can get tasty patty, you can get juicy patty, you can get jerk chicken, you can get ackee and saltfish, you can get all them something right here in Nevis. So the truth of the matter is that we have adopted a policy which is welcoming, and our brothers and sisters are welcome. At the end of the day, we are one people. I lived in Jamaica for 2 years. It's a country I love, and I go back often. And you know, it is one Caribbean. We may have a slightly different accent and sometimes a slightly different approach, but once you see you have a clean criminal record, there is no prohibition or any prevention from people coming in to St. Kitts and Nevis from Jamaica or from any of the other Caribbean islands.
So I wanted to shift gear now and go over to the security force. I wanted to shift gear because I know that you have a global framework to ensure that you not only reduce acute problems today, but in the long term, sustainable action. Do you believe that you have the capacity to reduce criminal problems in the long term, sustainability?
Of course, I think we do. I think we certainly have that capacity because the criminal element and the criminal behavior that we see here, the intelligence suggests that it is isolated. It is a very tiny fraction of the population that engages in criminality. Criminal behavior and a criminal mindset has not taken hold in our country as a national ill, if so to speak. Most of our people, the vast majority of our people, are law-abiding citizens who find crime abhorrent. And that's where the solution to crime starts. Your population must find it abhorrent, and therefore your population must be committed to trying to eradicate it. Perhaps some may say it is impossible to eradicate, but certainly to try to limit it to levels which are not noticeable. So the truth is, I have confidence here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I can only speak for St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yeah, man, I really understand that. But I wanted to look at the body cameras. Is your force equipped with body cameras?
Not at this point, no.
No, not at this point, no. So,
do they have body cameras in Jamaica?
They only have some.
Some, okay.
It's not all the force equipped, but there are body cameras here as a speak now.
We don't have body cameras here, certainly not on in St. Kitts and Nevis, but I'll tell you, we have excellent CCTV coverage across public areas, and the hope would be in time that we get body cameras. But having said that, caller, we do not have a culture of police brutality or anything of that nature either. And we don't have a culture of police shootings, meaning any allegation of extrajudicial killings. So that being the case, I mean, in fact, I cannot in my own memory recall any incident where there's been a fatal shooting involving our security forces. So, you know, even when they've been fired upon, they've always fired back to wound and not to kill. So the reality is that we don't have that culture. Not to say that the body cam might not be necessary in time, but we don't have a culture of police brutality or police violence against civilians.
Oh, I really understand that, man. And I know that you are doing good now because you have been answering the question and fluently. It is not seem as if you are searching for answers. As I pose the question to you, you automatically answer in a professional way, and that is what I always want from a leader, when leader becomes a professional speaker. So what is the next step between an effective justice system and crime prevention?
Well, they go together like hand in glove, as you would say in Jamaica, like batty and bench. Because but it's true, if you don't have an effective justice system, then you can't deal with crime and criminality. It is important. People must be able to have confidence that if something does happen, they will be able to get justice. So the justice system, when I think about justice system, I don't just think about the courts or the judiciary. I think about the lawyers, I think about the police. I think all of them are part and parcel of the justice system, your prosecutorial services, etc. So the reality is I think they go together like hand in glove. Okay?
I understand. So you had a mediation which is there now to reduce the amount of case that has been put before the justice system. So you had a mediation system, don't?
Well, we have mediation. We also have arbitration. There are alternative dispute resolution mechanisms.
Restorative justice system.
Well, that is an aspect that we have not really got to yet in St. Kitts and Nevis. But I do know it exists. Of course, it became famous in South Africa after the fall of apartheid. That's the whole idea of restorative justice. But the truth is that we continue to develop and we continue to evolve. Now,
yeah, man, you had touched on a point where I'd want you to explain a little bit more for me on the transcript. Because cases that mean people getting convicted, about what is the length of time it took to take an appeal case before the appeal court?
Why, here it's difficult for me to answer that. I confess that I'm a lawyer by training, but I've not been in the courts in many years. In my day, you could get before the Court of Appeal, say, within 6 months. That was my experience then. Criminal matters, I was never a criminal lawyer, and so I can't speak to criminal matters in terms of how long they would take normally. But certainly I know in the civil realm which I practice, we could get a case up to the Court of Appeal within a matter of months. The OECS has an itinerant Court of Appeal. They're based in St. Lucia, but they sit in each of the jurisdictions. Yeah. And they would normally sit in St. Kitts and Nevis twice per year.
So you had signed on to the CCJ?
No. Well, we are with the CCJ only in relation to its the treaty jurisdiction. So if there are any issues concerning the treaty and the treaty interpretation, certainly, but we still go to the Privy Council, just as you do in Jamaica.
So you have the Privy Council as the final appellate jurisdiction?
Yes, just as you do. All right, caller, we have some other people trying to call, so I will unfortunately have to leave it there. But thank you very much for your call. We appreciate the feedback.
You'll be hearing from me.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, please.
Okay, cheers. We have just about 10 minutes left. We're going to take some calls. Caller, I think there was somebody who was trying to get in because they kept calling. I apologize, but I was having a conversation there with this gentleman, so please call back in. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, brother Premier.
Good evening to you, good evening.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thankful to the love of the Almighty and the ancestors. And good evening to your listeners. Now, just something I'd like to get to you as being a member of Parliament, as the opposition leader in the Federal Parliament. I would like to know what is the outline position towards of the 20 by 25 agenda to decrease the infant bill, and how do you see the federal administration is taking the information to the general public as assurance to how was entailed by the CARICOM region?
Well, I believe, Carl, that it's a lofty ambition to reduce the imports of some items by 25% by 2025. But you realize 2025 is upon us. As people say, by next week is 2025, because we are now middle of November, and December is going to go by quickly because of the Christmas and all of that, and then you're into 2025. So whether or not we will be able to achieve that in St. Kitts and Nevis, I feel is doubtful. That is my own take. I'm looking forward to the budget discussions because I definitely would like to hear the report from the Federal Minister of Agriculture in relation to where we are at this point in terms of meeting our commitment. In Nevis, the Minister of Agriculture in Nevis, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, has said that he feels confident that Nevis can get to the target, but I'm waiting to hear his report in the budget discussions, which will happen starting on the 3rd of December. So for me, the jury is out. We will have to wait and see what the reports look like, because the Ministers of Agriculture would have access to the data in terms of what is being produced and where we are in terms of that commitment that we would have made on that reduction by 25%. I think whether or not we get there in 2025, we ought to keep on that path and get to 25 and 30 and 40 and 50% if possible, to reduce our level of imports, empower our workers in agriculture, our farmers, our fishers, and ensure that we have greater food security and food sovereignty in St. Kitts and Nevis. I think we can do it, caller. I believe that there was a time when Nevis especially was like the bread basket of the country. A lot of food was produced in Nevis. In fact, we used to come over, the turn hanner they call them, used to come to St. Kitts to sell. And I believe we can get back to a point of significant production. I realize on St. Kitts they've started a pepper farming for Tabasco on an agreement that has been entered into with Tabasco. And I think these are steps in the right direction to create commercial opportunities for farmers. So yes, we need more food, but we also need an opportunity for farmers to earn and feed their families and prosper and do well. So I am optimistic that we should continue working along that path of getting to 20, what you said, 25 by 25?
25 by 25 in reduce of the import bill,
right,
towards food.
Right. So I do think that I'm optimistic that we should continue on that path. But as I said, I will await the full reports that I hope.
But I will stand by saying this in about a premier.
Yeah.
It has been a disregard to see that soon on the count of 20 by 25 to calculate what should be, as the statement was made by the federal minister. Now, seeing that in that aspect, we don't see no report giving out what details are we having to captivate. You just mentioned about an indication towards the Tabasco cover. There is not a general format towards the 25 by 25 agenda. You know that too.
No.
You know, it's an opportunity to give farmer a way of turning economical base.
Exactly.
Which we have no wrong with that.
Right. So I'm not saying it's part of the 25 by 25, but what I'm saying is that it gives farmers an opportunity to earn, which is important as well.
We agree on that. So I will just say the federal minister need to come out of his closet. This is last I am saying it without any fear of failure. And let the general public vote in St. Kitts and Nevis, as you all have claimed, that is a CARICOM initiative, so it's not your own personal initiative. So come out to your call house and give the public the better assert of the information that you're supposed to share. Not wait until you're going that thief in Parliament to tell lies. You all have a blessed night.
All right.
Give thanks.
Thanks a lot. But you're always in the Parliament, so you call the Parliament thief now. Every time I go there, you're in there, sit down. Right? So you seem to come to the Parliament quite often yourself. So let's respect the institutions. We may not always agree with everything that is said, but let us respect the institutions and respect each other. Ladies and gentlemen, this is On The Mark, and we have come to that hour of 10 o'clock when we sign off the show. I want to thank all who participated tonight, those who called. We had some interesting exchange of views, and that's what this show is about, an opportunity to engage with each other respectfully, share views, raise issues, and hopefully to get some determination and some answers. So I want to thank those who called, who took the time. I find all the callers were respectful. We were able to have a reasonable discussion, and hopefully those listening would have been enlightened in terms of the quality of discussion. I want to thank especially my brother from Jamaica who called in. He says he's calling from Jamaica. Thank him for calling in and being a part of the show this evening. And through the power of technology, we are being heard around the world, and we're truly grateful for that opportunity. Thank you again to Vaughan Radio for having me here all these years and the ability to engage in a very positive way with our people. My name is Mark Brantley. I'm signing off for this edition of On The Mark. This show is rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. right here on the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse, VON Radio. Tune in tomorrow if you want to hear it again, or if you missed it tonight, please make sure to catch it tomorrow. Good night, and God bless you. Sleep well. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis broadcast.